Sure, the discussion. Sure, that one right below the application.
Let's call this meeting to order. City of North Kansas City, Missouri, regular council meeting amended May 16th, 2017. We have a moment of silence. Fred? Resolution of appreciation, Eric?
Thank you, sir. Tonight, you have before you a resolution of appreciation honoring Elizabeth Ryan. Whereas the city of North Kansas City, Missouri depends upon its citizens and volunteers to give of their time, talents, expertise, and common sense in serving on city boards, commissions, and committees, which services provided on behalf of all residents and businesses of the city, thereby making the city a better place to live, work, and enjoy life. And whereas Elizabeth Ryan is one such citizen volunteer who was first appointed by the mayor of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri to the Parks and Recreation Board in May of 2001 and continues to serve on this board today. And whereas Elizabeth Ryan is a loyal and dedicated citizen of the city of North Kansas City, Missouri, and whereas Elizabeth Ryan continues to serve the city's residents and businesses with dedication and professionalism since her appointment to the Parks and Recreation Board and continues to advance the best interests of the city. And whereas Elizabeth Ryan contributes freely of her time, energies, and abilities toward the promotion, growth, and development of the city of North Kansas City, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of North Kansas City hereby gratefully records and extends its sincere appreciation to Elizabeth Ryan for her dedication and excellent service she renders to the city. And be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation be part of the official records of the city, and a copy thereof, signed by the mayor, be presented to Elizabeth Ryan as an expression of appreciation from Ms. Ryan and as a means of honoring her for her service to the community. Done in my office, the 16th day of May in the year of 2017.
If we could get our employees to work as hard as she does, we'd be in good shape.
We'll keep
Comments
trying,
from the
sir.
public? I wasn't crude like that. Hearing none. Consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda be approved as presented to us.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 13.
Resolution in support of a new Buck O'Neill Bridge, resolution number 17-042.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. This item was added to the agenda yesterday. I attended a meeting last week at Kansas City City Hall. A number of officials from the Northland were there, including officials from Platte County, Clay County, Riverside, Gladstone, other Northland stakeholders in the fate of the Buck O'Neill Bridge, formerly known as the Broadway Bridge. The issue at hand is whether to repair the bridge, which is getting to a point where something must be done and soon, according to the Missouri Department of Transportation. Repair would be about $50 million, which would close the bridge for approximately 2 years. or to replace the bridge at somewhere around perhaps $200 million and have that bridge closed for a much shorter period of time. Building a bridge would also help, in addition to closing the bridge for a much shorter period of time, address circulation issues where the bridge enters Kansas City currently. North Kansas City staff believes that the bridge would be a much better solution for North Kansas City for both short-term and long-term effects on Burlington. The challenge, of course, is that gap in funding. The best possibilities would seem to involve reprioritization of some previously allocated federal funds that are administered by the Mid-America Regional Council, MARC, and prioritization of future federal dollars administered through MARC. Kansas City has asked the Northland communities to present a united front to the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, MoDOT, in support of a new bridge, and the communities present all expressed a willingness to do that. And pursuant to that, resolution is before you that was drafted by the Kansas City, Missouri. And a similar resolution is going to be considered by other jurisdictions up here in the Northland in the next couple of weeks, in time for a Missouri Highway Transportation Commission meeting in St. Joseph or in early June. Here tonight to speak on behalf of the resolution, ask for the council's support, is Kansas City City Councilman Scott Wagner, who represents Northland areas on the Kansas City City Council. Mr. Wagner.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Again, my name is Scott Wagner. I serve as the city councilman of the 1st District at Large, the Clay County portion of Kansas City. I also have the honor of serving as mayor pro tem. Let me also introduce my son, Truman, and he is important here because I have promised him, for being here this evening, he gets to go to Dairy Queen. And then probably to Mackin Park. So we will be using your facilities and trying to add to your tax base. And so I just want to make sure that is clear before I give you my comments. But I did want to come here this evening to talk a little bit about the Buck O'Neill Bridge. I won't take too much of your time, but I want to thank Eric for the opportunity to be here this evening, Councilmember Clevenger for coming when we had this discussion in our City Council's Transportation and Infrastructure Committee a few weeks ago, and I want to thank you for being there. I think it was very helpful in understanding that the bridge is a regional asset, not just one of the state and not just one for Kansas City. Eric, I think, has explained this very well to you, so I might just pick a few points that I hope that you'll remember as you have your discussion this evening and hopefully take affirmative action. That is that the bridge currently, as we know it, has between 40 and 44,000 cars that travel on it every single day. And it used to be that the primary users of that bridge were heading to the airport. But because of the growth in the Northland and the change in both Clay County and Platte County, we find that we have just as many rush hour trips heading north as there are heading south, which suggests the amount of traffic on that bridge is really more regional in nature. Because their origins are coming from all over the area in order to use that bridge. We have also been told, as was noted back in March, that the plan for MoDOT was simply to shut the bridge down over the course of 2 construction seasons in fiscal year 2019 to make the necessary repairs, or as they referred to them, the 35-year fix. The reason why they have to do that is because the design of the bridge is such where it is very difficult to just allow one lane of traffic back and forth. Not impossible, but if you do that, that just stretches out the time of the construction that's necessary. We believe that has a detrimental effect on a number of stakeholders, including obviously North Kansas City, because obviously if you close down the bridge, there are really only 2 places, maybe 3, for that traffic to go, but the easiest way for that traffic to get diverted is down Burlington. And knowing your plans for Burlington, it is our belief that that is not necessarily an optimum solution. And for that reason, we have come to you and many other stakeholders to ask for an alternative. I might speak to that alternative just for a moment in that when MoDOT asked a construction company called HDR to do an analysis of the bridge, they asked for a 10-year and 35-year fix. And frankly, a 10-year fix is just as bad as the 35-year, so apparently MoDOT decided to double down and just go for the 35-year. But the problem is that we expect there to be further growth in the Northland. Just as a reminder, that bridge was built and constructed from 1957 to 1959. Today, we have 40 to 44,000 cars that travel on that bridge. We expect, with the growth of the Twin Creeks area in Kansas City, which is that area north of 152 and west of 169, to have potentially between 75 and 100,000 new people in that area at its full build-out. And if you say that we'll take the 1957 bridge option, you can see very quickly that it's really no option at all. So we have tried to go before MoDOT. 2 weeks ago, we appeared at the Highway Commission meeting in Jefferson City to suggest to them that the stakeholders in this area want something different. I think we began to make an impression on them as we showed them letters from the Northland Chamber, from the Downtown Neighborhood Association, from the Platte County Economic Development Council to suggest that whether you live north or south of the river, the fix option is not a good option for that bridge. So the next phase for us is exactly why we are here today. Currently, MoDOT has presented a 5-year STIP, or their Surface Transportation Plan, for the next 5 years. On that plan, they suggest the renovation of the bridge. What we are asking our friends and stakeholders from our neighboring jurisdictions, like you, is to send a resolution on behalf of your city to say that a renovation is not optimal, that you would prefer a new bridge. And I would also suggest, as I think we do in the resolution, that instead of a 10-year fix, we are going to suggest a 5-year fix to MoDOT so that the bridge won't fall apart in the near future, but that still allows us the time to find the funding mechanisms necessary to build and construct a new bridge. And again, as Eric said, that can come in a whole host of ways through state funds and reprioritization of the 5-year Surface Transportation Plan for MoDOT. It could be federal funds and reallocating some of those funds that come through the Mid-America Regional Council. We believe there are ways to get this done. But in order for that to occur, we have to show the regional will that we want that as a priority. So I thank you for your time this evening, and I hope that you will agree with this resolution and letting North Kansas City's voice be heard in this matter. And hopefully, maybe in the next 5 years, we'll all have a good ribbon cutting and celebrating a new bridge across the Missouri River. And I'll stand for any questions if you have any.
Pretty well covers it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay,
So the resolution is before you for motion and a...
Can I just ask one quick question? On the reprioritization for the MARC funding, is there any of that would have a negative impact on some of our projects?
No, we've had that discussion, and we do not believe it would have any
Okay.
effect on. We do have some money allocated to Burlington, which we would hope and expect to keep.
Okay, thank you. Then if there's no other questions, I move to approve.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 14.
Award of contract YMCA renovation project, resolution number 17-039.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. The fiscal year 2017 budget contains $2,500,000 to renovate the North Kansas City Community Center in order to bring exercise areas up to the current standards and maximize the operational viability of the center. City opened bids for a construction contract on May 2nd. The bid tabulation from that is in your packet for your review. The lowest base bid was submitted by BD Construction in the amount of $1,553,000. The review committee did have some concerns about BD. In particular, the company was established less than a year ago. They have 4 projects underway. They haven't completed any of them yet, which isn't to say that there's anything wrong, but they seem to be very busy, and we have some concern, especially given the timing is of the essence in this particular project. So the review group did unanimously conclude the BD's bid should be rejected because they really don't have any finished projects that they could provide references to us for. So the review group then checked the references and interviewed Herner Construction, the second low bidder. And the committee does believe that they are capable of completing the project and doing so in a timely manner. Their bid would allow for several alternates to be completed as well as part of this award. So before you now tonight is a resolution to award contract to Herner Construction. We do have several members who are on the review committee, City Councilor Tom Barzee, Building Official David Harris, architect for the project, PGAV Architects is also here. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to try to answer them.
I have a question. Does the layout of what they're going to do for you, does that match what you've shown us before as far as the construction goes?
Also, Gary Lynn is here. Sorry,
Yeah.
Gary.
Sorry, I'll just direct my question at him because I'm
Good
guessing
evening,
he
Council.
knows.
Absolutely, it does. So
Okay.
everything that we had proposed and worked with the architects and our vision right from the get-go was established and
No major changes or
None,
anything like that?
no,
Okay.
none that
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Get to work.
Thank you.
15,
Swift Mile Street Festival Agreement, Resolution Number 17-038.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. The fiscal year 2017 Convention and Tourism Fund budget contains $30,000 for the second annual Swift Mile Street Festival. The contract before you tonight is very similar to the one that was approved last year. A couple of changes of note. New this year are that the festival is planning 2 satellite areas that would come before the city at a later time before the festival and would be subject of a conditional use permit application. They would involve a closure of Erie Street north of Armour and another in the vicinity of Big Rip Brewery. The other change has to do with if there are any surpluses for the project. It's not something that was really anticipated last year when we created the budget for the first annual festival, but a surplus did come out of that. And so talking with Northland Festivals, what we agreed we would propose to the City Council is that if there are any surpluses this year and going forward, that we would split them on a 50-50 basis. And Northland Festivals has also agreed, assuming you pass the resolution tonight, to refund the city half of last year's surplus. In fact, they've already given us a check, and if you pass the resolution tonight, then we'll go ahead and cash that tomorrow. So, before you is a contract to put on the second annual Swift Mile Street Festival.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Number 16.
First Amendment Parking Lot Lease Agreement with School District, Bill Number 7192, Ordinance Number 8989.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. As the council's aware, North Kansas City School District will shortly begin a very significant expansion and renovation of North Kansas City High School. As part of that work, the existing parking area that's west of the football stadium will be eliminated, and that in turn causes a need for the district to find new parking spaces for students. The city currently owns and leases to the district the parking lot that's located at 25th Avenue and Iron Street, which is called the St. Patrick's Lot. And the district has requested that the city allow the district to improve the city-owned and currently undeveloped space directly south of that, located at the corner of 24th and Iron, for use as additional parking, add to that space for parking, in other words. This would provide an additional 31 parking spaces in the area. City staff has worked with the district to develop an amendment to the city's current parking lot lease with the district for the St. St. Patrick's Lot and the COE Lot, which is located at the southwest corner of Howell and 23rd. What we've done is proportionally increase the amount of the rent for the year according to the additional spaces that have been added or that would be added. At the district's request, the First Amendment that's before you for consideration would provide that the lease can be extended for 19 successive individual one-year terms, an increase of 10 years. Right now, it says 9, so now it would go up to 19. They would like to make sure that they would have the ability to use that parking lot for a good length of time. And they would be fully responsible for improving that area as a parking lot, and to do so in accordance with the city's requirements. And the school district would work with our community development department to install any necessary and appropriate screening, drainage, access egress for the new site. So we are recommending approval of the resolution approving this First Amendment. If you have any questions for the school district, Fred Bouchard, an executive director with the school district staff, is here if you have any questions for the school district.
Fred?
Will there be any additional curb cuts?
I think that there would be, but those would have to be agreed to between the city and the school district. So they haven't yet. We'll be getting together with their designers to do that.
On the, is an automatic renewal for one at every year?
We actually bring it back to you every year.
Oh, you bring it back to us every
We
year?
do.
Okay, and is there an price increase every year?
No.
Or that's flat?
That's
And
flat.
why did we decide to do that flat?
It was flat before, so when we gave you this First Amendment, we just continued the current way of doing it, but we did just increase the amount
Okay.
proportionally.
So if we want to increase the amount, we could do that in a year, I guess.
But be a subject to negotiation.
Okay, right.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
An ordinance adopting and approving First Amendment to parking lot lease by and between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri as lessor and North Kansas City 74 School District as lessee regarding certain real property located generally at the northeast corner of 24th Avenue and Iron Street in the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7192 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 8989.
Call roll.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman?
Yes?
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
An ordinance adopting and approving First Amendment to parking lot lease by and between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri as lessor and North Kansas City 74 School District as lessee regarding certain real property located generally at the northeast corner of 24th Avenue and Iron Street in the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
Number 17.
North Kansas City Historical Society requests Palmer House.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. The North Kansas City Historical Society has requested funding in the amount of $1,000 to assist with funding for an historic marker to commemorate the former Palmer House, where that building originally stood at 1015 Swift. At the mayor's request, staff checked with the trustees of the Crummett Beautification Fund to determine if that would be an eligible use of those funds, and they indicated that it would be an eligible expense. So all staff would need would be a motion to grant this funding, a fund from the Crummett Beautification Fund. And Jim Spawn of the North Kansas City Historical Society is here if you have any questions.
Yeah. Rick.
I remember the old building when I first joined the fire department. It's kind of pie-shaped, I think. What's there? Where's the plaque going to be? Is there any buildings there? I can't remember.
Good evening. Today, the site is, the building there is MTS Contracting.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you know about that company, but it's a very interesting company. They restore historical buildings. I said, well, geez, if we would have had you back then, we'd still have the Palmer House.
Yeah.
But they've agreed to allow us to put the marker on their property, and their contribution to the project is they will pay for all the installation costs to put the marker on their property, and they'll be responsible for the groundskeeping and things of that nature.
It was a very unique building.
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 18.
Special Inspections Parks and Recreation Center Project, Resolution Number 17-041.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the building official, David Harris.
Mayor, council, at its March 7th city council meeting, a budget amendment was approved for $2,367,394 for the Park and Recreation Center. This amount included $10,000 for special inspections for the project. Special inspection services provide special observations and testing where construction projects require structural masonry, structural steel, geotechnical, and other special fabrications and rated installations. These types of inspections are required in accordance with building and construction standards. These services are usually conducted by a qualified independent third-party company hired by the owners of the construction project. Staff recommends that the city enter into an agreement with Call Valley Engineering for special inspections. Call Valley has submitted a quote in the amount of not to exceed $13,544.20. Since this amount quoted exceeds the amount budgeted for special inspections within this project, an additional $3,544.20 will be taken from the contingency amount of $61,920. Be happy to answer any questions.
If I might just anticipate perhaps one question that might come, we do have several more items coming up regarding the Parks and Recreation Center, which would take some out of the contingency amount that was established. So this particular amount, as David mentioned, would require drawing from that in the amount of $3,544.20. The next three items in the amounts of $4,450.93, $2,970, and $16,724.58 would reduce the contingency balance to $34,230. So that's where we would stand if you were to approve all of these items tonight. With that, if you have any questions.
Can I ask a general question about what you just mentioned, all of these? So other than maybe the inspection, are all of these really site preparation and getting utilities to the building? They're not really specific to the building itself,
That's
right?
generally speaking correct, and David will be able to speak more specifically to each of those. But yes, we're not really into building costs yet.
Right.
Yes, normally when you build a new building, the utilities are then brought into the site. But this could be considered as site preparation to expedite having to bring the utilities to the site after the construction begins.
So when they got the quote for, I don't remember the amount, but the amount of money for the building in general, were these things considered as part of that quote, as part of that estimate, or are these kind of above and beyond? I guess what I'm getting at is that we decided as a council where they were going to go, right? So they didn't really have that choice to go into a particular location or vet all this out. So I guess what I'm trying to get a sense of is how does that happen and what should we do about it?
Well, in this case, so on this particular item, the special inspections item, there was a specific budget for that.
Yeah, it was a
It's
best
simply,
guess of
this is going
10,000,
over that by a little
and
bit.
this was 13.
Right.
Mhm.
And then I'd let David explain
And I don't want
the
to move
need.
ahead, I'm just trying to get a
Sure,
sense
no,
of the
but I mean,
overall,
yeah.
there's 5 change orders, and I just want to understand.
Well, yeah, and each one is sort of got its own, the last two are kind of tied together, and they involve our not being able to find a water main, which existed, and then when we found it, that in turn going to cost more to connect to the building than had been anticipated when the project budget was created. And then the need for temporary power, David can kind of explain that a little bit, but,
Yes.
so, yeah.
When we get to those items, I'll be happy to answer any
Okay.
questions.
Okay, thank you.
Didn't we also find a sewer line that was kind of running uphill?
That is correct.
You don't want to do that.
That doesn't work very well.
Okay, any more questions? Got a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 19.
Change order Parks and Recreation Center project with Larison Construction for temporary power.
Thank you. I'll call on Mr. Harris.
Contract specifications for construction of the Park and Recreation building stipulate that the city will utilize the existing electric power service to the contractor for construction operations. Originally, it was thought that temporary power could be provided by using the existing power system for the lights in the park. The location and the power at Will Park is not sufficient for the additional requirement for temporary power. And after a consultation with KCP&L, we also need to include power consumption payments while this project is underway. And once the building is constructed, there's going to be some also temporary power before it is completely turned over. To provide the temporary power, KCP&L requires a separate electrical panel and is going to connect directly to their main line to the south of the project. This change order is to fund installation of temporary electric service and pay for monthly electric power usage, which is an estimate. The temporary service installation cost is $1,650.93. In addition, payment is required for KCP&L for the monthly power usage. I may want to also add, since this discussion has been brought up, that we continue to work with the contractor and KCP&L. Since this issue has been brought up about temporary power, I also started a conversation with them about how it's going to affect our permanent power in that location. So we continue that discussion, and that actually may become an issue in the future, but we have hopes that we can adjust.
It gives us no pleasure to say it, but we may be bringing you a change order regarding permanent power, but we are trying to negotiate that.
KCP&L originally, to speak on your question, KCP&L originally approved a location that was actually stipulated on the drawings, and then just recently their planner said, well, no, you have to go further to the east, 50 foot farther away, which would include additional cost, additional material, and so that's why we are here.
Okay, thank you.
I think when I read the attachments to that, it's kind of a case where the original place they was going to tap into is not enough amperage.
That's correct.
You know, like our houses probably have, most of us have 100 amp. This probably needed like 200.
That's correct.
Just something you didn't know till you put a tester on it, I guess.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
20.
Change order Parks and Recreation Center project with Insight Design Studio for redesign of water main connection.
Eric.
Thank you. I'll call on Mr. Harris.
On April 18th, the City Council approved change order number 1 in the amount of $8,321.81 to fund installation of the fire line connection that included approximately 40 feet of ductile iron pipe. On April 25th, utility crews identified that the existing storm sewer and found the water main in a different location that was typical, which would be along the road. The storm sewer conflict in the different location of the water main requires a redesign of the alignment and the installation of the new fire and water line connection. In the agenda items immediately before this one, the council considered a change order with Insight Design Studio to provide for the necessary redesign. Larison Construction has submitted a revised cost estimate approximately for 150 feet as opposed to the 40 feet, that it is not to exceed $16,724.58, which is $8,402.77 more than the original amount for change order number 1. Because of the timing in this and having to identify where the lines are, this did take several days, and so this request also would include adding 7 additional days and lost time to the contractor.
Any questions?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Was there just one no?
Yes. Aye.
All members voted aye except for Councilmember Farr. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
22.
21.
21.
Change order, Parks and Recreation
trying to
Center
skip
project with Larison Construction, installation of redesigned water main connection.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Mr. Harris.
On July 5th, 2016, the city approved an agreement with Insight Design Studios to provide architectural services for the design and civil engineering of the Park and Recreation Building. Call Valley Engineering provided engineering services as Insight's subcontractor. The building and civil engineering design plans were completed, and as we all know, work is underway by Larison Construction Company. The water main is installed at an angle north through the park, and a storm line is located at an elevation that conflicts with the alignment of the new water line connection. Insight Design Studios will need to authorize Call Valley Engineering to redesign the civil engineering plan to connect the water lines to the building from the actual location of the water main and route the line underneath the existing stormwater sewer. Call Valley Engineering will agree to complete the civil engineering on the redesign of the water line at the cost not to exceed $2,970.
I think, actually, David, I think you reversed the order of the last 2 staff reports. So, we've now covered both the design and the installation. What's before you now is for the cost of installation.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Hey, Mayor, I'd like to say one thing about these change orders. I think we're going to have to steel ourselves to the fact that there's going to be change orders on this type of construction or any other type of things that we do. They're unexpected things. Nobody plans for them to happen, but we all know that things happen. So we're not to be discouraged about these things, but just keep our eye on them and make sure that they're done in a proper manner and that we can survive what happens. Let's hope that we don't have very many more, but we'll have more. We have more change orders. That's just part of the business of putting something together, my opinion.
And you can't see it below ground, I mean, it's old water lines, old sewer lines. Once you get above ground, it shouldn't be as much. I mean, you gotta remember how many we have in the community center, 70, 80, so.
Yeah, it's one thing if there are bells and whistles that are added. It's another when it's just basic,
That's another
basic structure in order to get it built, and that's really what we're talking about here. Plus, some of these things resolve issues that probably have been outstanding for a long time. We just never had the need to correct them. We never even knew they existed.
Moving on.
Yeah, we just had some things to say, I guess.
Are we ready for 22?
Yes. Approval of Kansas City Power and Light easements in the Armour Road redevelopment area. Bill number 7191, ordinance number 8988.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the Community Development Director, Sarah Copeland.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. At your February 21st meeting, the Council approved a facility extension agreement with KCP&L for the removal of overhead electrical lines in the Armor Road redevelopment area and the replacement of those lines with new underground primary power. At the time of that agreement, our engineer, Olson Associates, and Clarkson Construction, our contractor, and KCP&L were coordinating on the installation of the conduit for those underground lines. And the agreement that you approved stated that future easements would be dedicated to KCP&L for the exact location of that underground conduit. So at this point, the conduit has been placed, and our contractor is working with KCP&L for the installation and of the new underground lines and for them to be energized, which is happening very slowly, but the work is underway at this point. So the 3 easement descriptions that are before you tonight were prepared by Olson Associates based on the actual location of the underground conduit. They are located along the east side of Lot 2, adjacent to Taney Street, on the south side of Lot 2, along the south side of the existing Burger King parcel, and at the southeast corner of the intersection of Mill and Taney Streets. And this is just to dedicate those easements to KCP&L for their future use. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. And I know the city councilor has reviewed this easement and corrected some typographical errors, and I'm sure he would be able to answer any questions you might have also.
I noticed down there tonight, they were pulling new wires up out of the ground north of Armor Road. Is that?
That's where the underground ties into the existing facilities.
First reading.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing and conveying an easement to Kansas City Power and Light Company within the Armor Road redevelopment area in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7191 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 8988.
Second.
All roll.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing and conveying an easement to Kansas City Power and Light Company within the Armor Road redevelopment area in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri.
23.
Award of contract, raised crosswalks on East 29th and Swift and East 29th and Howell. Resolution number 17-040.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. Last year, council members expressed concerns about pedestrian safety in the northern part of the city. An amount of $15,000 was included in this year's budget in the Transportation Fund for improvements to be determined by the city council. And then at your work session on March 21st, the city council instructed staff to move forward with installing raised crosswalks at East 29th and Swift and East 29th and Howell. We did go out and get quotes, and we received 2. One from Musselman and Hall Contractors and one from McConnell Associates, who supplied the low bid of $12,990. There are pictures that in your with the memo that show you what these crosswalks will look like and what the signage for these will look like. And now before you for your approval is a contract with McConnell and Associates to install the raised crosswalks.
My only question is, there were 3 companies that weren't interested in the project. Do you know if it was just too small for them, or?
Honestly,
had a
not sure why they
philosophical
didn't respond,
opposition?
but,
Okay. Oh, they just didn't respond, so
they just didn't respond.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So, I'm good.
We got a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 24.
Consent to elimination of Grace Moore bus route.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Clevenger brought to the city staff's attention a proposal by the KCATA, Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, to eliminate the Gracemore bus route number 132, which runs through North Kansas City. So we did make contact with the KCATA staff, and they indicated that they are, in fact, proposing to eliminate that particular route. The memo in your packet goes into their reasons why they don't think that this will have no effect on North Kansas City riders. in general, staff would concur that the existing route does have very low ridership, and the riders that do use it now to get through the city will have reasonable alternatives. There are other routes that go exactly the same way, and a lot of those riders seem to be taking those other routes when they come by first. So because the contract that we have with KCATA does say that the city must consent to changes in bus stops or en routes, the city would need to consent to the elimination of Gracemore route, and assuming you concur, we would ask for a motion accordingly.
Fred?
Are we going to get any cost reduction from KCATA?
My understanding of the cost of the city for this particular route is $500. We didn't ask for that. We could, but that isn't part of the motion. But if you'd like us to, we can explore that with them.
Is that 500 annually, or what is that?
500 annually, yes, sir.
I would think it would be more than that.
Move to consent to the elimination of the Gracemore route.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Purchase of easement in Armor Road redevelopment area, Bill number 7190, ordinance number 8987.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on City Councilor Tom Barzee.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, as you will probably recall, approximately 3 years ago, the city acquired a triangle-shaped piece of property, a little over 5 acres, from Northtown Devco by quitclaim deed. It is subject, however, to a right-of-way held by the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission. This was the former exit at 16th Avenue when you'd get off of I-29 when you were going northbound. It's the circular one with the detention, water detention in the middle. They have this easement, this right-of-way that lies over it. This, we've been working with them quite a while to get it to this point, and now subject to certain terms and conditions, we can now acquire their right-of-way. In addition, for the sum of $20,000, I might add. In addition to that, we have an obligation to relocate some fiber optic cable that's located within this particular right-of-way at the present time and move it on to MoDOT right-of-way. That's part of this agreement as well. We do not presently have a quote for that, but that, in fact, is one of the requirements of this agreement. And this will allow us to go ahead and move forward with the construction of the spine road because part of the spine road cuts off a part of this particular piece of property. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have, but this is something that we've worked on now for quite a while with MoDOT employees and their legal counsel.
Just a quick question. Does MoDOT have to approve that?
Yes. Well, but remember, there's two separate entities here. Technically, the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission owns all property in the state that's highway property. And so after you've approved it and they insist that it come here first, then we have to send it to Jeff City, or actually MoDOT will send it to Jeff City for their approval. So it still could be a few weeks down the road before we really finalize this.
Any reason to think they wouldn't approve it?
Pardon, I didn't.
And is there any reason to think they would not approve it?
No. They haven't indicated any reason that they would not approve it. MoDOT, their legal department seems to think everything's in order for it to be approved.
Okay, thank you.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance adopting and approving Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission sales agreement between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri as purchaser and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission as seller for an interest in certain real property located within the Armor Road redevelopment area and adjacent to 16th Avenue, east of I-29, I-35, and south of Armor Road.
I move that bill number 7190 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 8987.
Second.
Call roll.
Councilmember Stefan,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman,
Yes?
Councilmember Sanders.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
An ordinance adopting and approving Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission sales agreement between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri as purchaser and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission as seller for an interest in certain real property located within the Armour Road redevelopment area and adjacent to 16th Avenue, east of I-29, I-35, and south of Armour Road.
26.
Approving accounts due and payable by the city through May 12, 2017.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through May 12, 2017.
I move that bill number 7193 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 8990.
Second.
Call roll.
Councilmember Stefan,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman,
Yes?
Councilmember Sanders,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
An ordinance approving payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through May 12, 2017. Approving accounts due and payable by the city through May 12, 2017. Bill number 7194, ordinance number 8991.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through May 12, 2017.
I move that bill number 7194 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 8991.
Second.
Call roll.
Councilmember Stefan,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman,
Yes?
Councilmember Sanders,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through May 12, 2017.
How come we got two?
So we discovered this rather large payment that's due to Clarkson Construction minutes after we had locked up the first pay ordinance. Once the pay ordinance is done, it's done. We can't reopen it. But we wanted to make sure that we paid Clarkson, our contractor, out in the Armour Road redevelopment area, so we developed a second ordinance for your consideration tonight, just for them.
I see. Okay. Staff?
Thanks, sir. I'll call on Ms. Copeland.
Good evening. First, I wanted to note that this year Community Development put together an annual report stealing an idea from our colleagues in the police department and the fire department, and so I've given you all a copy of it. We're pretty pleased with how it came out. We also just had a good year in 2016 and had a lot to talk about. So I would point out on the back page, it's just some demographic information. I think this came up at the last council meeting, the big change we've had in our median age over the last 5 years, which we're still kind of boggled by. The second thing I wanted to mention was one of the things in our annual report is a brief overview of the Burlington Corridor Complete Street Plan, which we continue to be very proud of. The firm that we worked with on that, Confluence, has submitted it for a couple of awards, and we're very happy to say that we've received a couple of awards for the work on that. First, if you'll hold that one. From the Prairie Gateway chapter of the American Society of Landscape Architects, which includes the western half of Missouri and all of Kansas, we received an honor award from them in a recognition of outstanding professional achievement. So we're proud of that.
And that was for what now?
For the Burlington Corridor Complete Street Plan.
Oh, really? Just for the plan itself?
Just for the
Haven't
plan
even done
itself.
anything.
We haven't even done it yet, but the plan itself is
Wow,
outstanding.
that's exciting.
So they
Okay.
gave us an award. We're proud of that. And
That's
then
cool.
the central states of the American Society of Landscape Architects, that includes 8 different chapters, gave us an award of merit for the Burlington Corridor Complete Street Plan. So we're doing a great job. And
Whose
now we just-
offices do they hang in?
We have not found a patch of wall to put these on yet, but they'll be close by somewhere upstairs, I'm sure, so we can be proud of ourselves. So I just wanted to share those with you. They just brought these over this afternoon, so we're very proud, and we'll keep plugging away on actually getting it built.
Actually doing, okay, that
Yes.
sounds good. Well, that's good, they like our ideas.
So that's all I have.
Thank you, Sarah. And just from me, in addition to the three reports that are in your packet, upcoming city items of note, the YMCA April 2017 financial report, the Snake Saturday 2017 financial report that are in your packet. I would just note that I will be out of town on vacation from June 2nd to 10th, so I will be absent for your next meeting on June 6th. And I will remind you as we get closer to that date that I'll be absent. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Fred, I think you're up.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to express appreciation to Liz Ryan for, 16 years service on Parks and Recreation. Quite a long time. Couple other things is Saturday at 8 o'clock there at 18th and Swift will be the first annual Brandon Russell Fun Run. And also on Saturday is we just got through approving the kids, take your kids to the park on Saturday. And lastly, as I believe, this week is National Police Week. That's all.
None this evening, sir.
I too would like to recognize Liz Ryan for her work with the Parks and Rec Board, and because of her dedication, other dedications of members of the Parks and Rec Board is why we have great parks we can take our kids to Park Day. So, other than that, that's it.
So I will follow up with that and say thank you to Liz and all members of the Parks Board. And one thing I wanted to say is I've noticed the work that you've done by the tennis courts and in the dog park, reducing the mud by putting some pavers down, and I think those are fantastic. So kudos to you and great job with that. And I'm also looking forward to Saturday, we have lip smacking at Mackin. Did I get that right? So looking forward to that, and I will eat at Mackin Park.
Yeah, congratulations, Liz. I remember one of my first assignments as a council person was with Silvers and Betty Miller. I was on that neighborhood day deal, and you ran that thing with her help very well. I was impressed. So congratulations and many more years if you want them. You're welcome.
Okay, just a couple of things here. First of all, I wanted to tell Officer Smith, thank you for the traffic study that was done at the work session. So appreciate his hard and detailed work on that. And I wanted to thank all those who worked on the Buck O'Neill resolution and Scott Wagner for coming down. Definitely echo the comments on Liz and the Parks Board in general. Great work that they do, and Liz is a tireless volunteer there at the many events that they have at our great facilities. So kudos to Liz for her many years of great service. And I wanted to remind everyone of the farmers market. We had a good week last Friday, so hopefully that continues. And I also want to congratulate community development on their awards too. So that's it.
Well, everybody said everything, so.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Rick.
I'm not gonna say much. Just congratulations, Liz, that we appreciate all the work the board members do, all the board members, and that's about it.
No.
Now,
Number 30.
So moved.
second.
All in favor? Oh, call a roll.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.